Welcome to the Beyond Bloated Podcast. I'm Carly, a certified health coach helping women ditch their bloat without having to follow super strict and stressful protocols. As someone who's struggled with all sorts of digestive issues for over 5 years, I know exactly how you're feeling. I also know that there's a way to feel better, and it doesn't have to involve tons of expensive supplements and insanely restrictive diets. Join me as I share all of my bloat-busting wisdom to help you say goodbye to that bloated belly and regain your confidence. It's time for you to move beyond bloated. Hello, everyone. Today's topic is probably going to hit home for a lot of you. Shockingly, I did not experience acid reflux in my health journey. I had a lot of other health problems, but I didn't experience acid reflux. However, I know a lot of family members, friends, clients that experience this on the regular. So this is definitely an important topic. So I'm going to cover it today, even though I don't have a personal experience with it. In today's episode, I'll talk about what acid reflux is, so the symptoms that are associated with it, what the difference between acid reflux and GERD is. If you don't know what GERD is, you will momentarily. Misconceptions about acid reflux and GERD. So doctors love prescribing PPI medications when people complain about acid reflux. We're digging into that and how that is a massive problem. Connected to that is the actual truth about stomach acid. So low stomach acid is actually the real reason why the majority of people experience acid reflux, not because they have too much. Doctors prescribe PPIs because that turns your stomach acid off. We're going to get into this, but it is a big spirally problem. I will also discuss some possible reasons why you are experiencing acid reflux / GERD and some natural remedies for you to start to improve the situation, but do not involve taking a medication for the rest of your life. So as you can see, there is a lot of information that we need to cover today, so I'm jumping right into it. I'll start by talking about the difference between acid reflux and GERD. I've already talked about these in the intro, and if you don't know what one or the other or both are, it's probably a good idea for me to explain that before I go any further. These terms are often confused or used interchangeably, but they're not exactly the same. Acid reflux is when stomach acid occasionally flows back into your esophagus. So you might feel a burning sensation or discomfort. We call this heartburn. And that can happen from time to time, especially if you eat a large meal or maybe you eat a trigger food, like something spicy triggers it for you. A lot of us have experienced acid reflux at least once. I know I have experienced it. Like, it's not something that I have never experienced in my whole life. It just wasn't something that I struggled with regularly. I do know what the heartburn acid reflux feeling is like, but it wasn't a constant struggle for me. Now, GERD, which stands for, I might butcher this, so sorry, Gastroesophageal Reflux Disease, GERD. And this is when acid reflux happens frequently. So typically more than twice a week on the regular, we say you have GERD, and it's not just an occasional acid reflux issue. Basically, it's a more chronic version of acid reflux and can lead to complications. GERD causes the same symptoms as acid reflux, but more intensely. So the heartburn, regurgitation, even difficulty swallowing, and it can also irritate your throat and your lungs. If GERD is left untreated, it can lead to esophagitis, inflammation of the esophagus, or even Barrett's esophagus, which increases the risk of esophageal cancer. I do want to point out that both acid reflux and GERD are not normal. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I get acid reflux once a week instead of twice a week, so I don't have GERD, I just have acid reflux, so I'm fine. No, if you experience acid reflux once a week, once every other week, whatever it is, that still is something that needs to be addressed because you should not be experiencing acid reflux ever. Yeah, if it happens once in a blue moon and you can kind of think about why it happened, maybe that's fine. But for the most part, these are not things that should happen, and there are ways that you can make sure it doesn't, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. If you are someone who has struggled with acid reflux or GERD on the regular, You may have gone to your doctor about the issue, and if you did, I bet you they prescribed you a PPI medication, which stands for a proton pump inhibitor. These are among the most frequently prescribed drugs in the entire world. Studies show that they are prescribed without a clear indication up to 70% of the time. That means they have no real reason as to why they're giving it to you. They haven't done any tests. There's no proof. You just say, hey, I get acid reflux, and they go, PPI, 70% of the time. Since their introduction in 1989, that was when PPIs were first brought into this world, use of PPIs in adults has doubled from 3.9% in 1999 to 7.8% in 2012. It is now 2024. I don't have the number, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's doubled again. So the reason why doctors prescribe you a PPI when you are complaining of acid reflux is because these medications reduce your stomach acid. What's hilarious about that, but not actually funny, is that the majority of people who have acid reflux, they already have not enough stomach acid. So too little stomach acid causes acid reflux. You go to the doctor, they give you a medication that reduces your stomach acid even further. As you can imagine, long-term use of these PPI medications can lead to several side effects, and I'm going to list them for you. Number 1, nutrient deficiencies. As I just said, PPIs reduce your stomach acid. We obviously need stomach acid. That is why we create it in the first place. This is essential for absorbing nutrients like vitamin B12, magnesium, calcium, and iron. This can lead to deficiencies over time, causing issues like fatigue, weak bones, which then leads to osteoporosis, and muscle cramps. So if you've ever had your blood taken and it's shown you have low B12 or low iron, this is very common, and a lot of people don't make the connection that this could very well be because you are taking a PPI, which has then reduced your ability to absorb these nutrients. Side effect number 2, gut microbiome imbalances. Reducing stomach acid allows harmful bacteria to thrive, potentially leading to infections, including C. diff and other gut disturbances. Basically, stomach acid is like our protective shield. When we eat food, it's inevitable that there's going to be bacteria on some of it. That's just the way life works. But what is supposed to happen is you eat the food with the bacteria, your stomach acid kills that bacteria, it's dead, it's gone, who cares? But if we don't have stomach acid to do that, that bacteria then passes through the stomach and gets into the gut, and now it has inhabited our gut microbiome and can cause imbalances. Side effect number 3, kidney problems. Long-term PPI use has been linked to an increased risk of chronic kidney disease and acute kidney injury. This fourth and final side effect is very ironic, but makes complete sense once you understand what causes acid reflux and what PPIs do. So if you are on PPIs for a long period of time, and then you want to come off them, so you stop taking them, this can cause rebound acid reflux, where people who stop taking their PPI medications experience a surge in acid production, which then makes their acid reflux symptoms worse. So if you've been on them for a long time and you're listening to this and you're like, I don't want these side effects, I'm coming off of it, hold up. It is probably not very smart for you to just cold turkey come off of your PPIs if you have been taking them for a really long time. There are ways that you can slowly come off of them, and I highly recommend you work with a professional as you are doing this, because I don't want you in pain and I don't want you damaging your esophagus or causing any discomfort that you don't need to be in. I did mention briefly how acid reflux is actually caused by too little stomach acid and not too much, like a lot of us believe. So I want to explain that a little further. It makes sense that too much stomach acid would cause acid reflux because it feels like there is acid in the esophagus, and that's what's causing the burning and the discomfort. And that is what's happening, but it's not because there is too much stomach acid. Low stomach acid plays a crucial role in breaking down our food. As I mentioned, when we don't have enough stomach acid, we can't break down our food to get to the nutrients, that's a problem. So also, when we don't have enough stomach acid to break down our food, the food doesn't get properly digested. So that means it's sitting in the stomach longer than it should, and that leads to fermentation. And the fermentation produces gas and pressure that pushes the little stomach acid that we do have back up into the esophagus. And that is what causes the reflux. It is actually extremely uncommon for someone to produce too much stomach acid. So if you have acid reflux, it is very likely that it is because you have too little. And as we age, our stomach acid, which is actually called hydrochloric acid, by the way, that's like the official fancy science name. So the hydrochloric acid that our stomachs produce naturally starts to decrease as we age. Typically around 60s is when it really starts to decline. So if you are older or you know someone older on PPI medication for acid reflux, you know they don't have too much stomach acid. It's definitely a low stomach acid issue. There is an at-home test that you can do to get a rough estimate of what your stomach acid levels are like. Keep in mind, this is not a diagnostic tool. It is not a for sure you have low stomach acid answer, but it's a way to get a rough estimate. It's called the baking soda test, and the theory behind this is that baking soda combined with stomach acid produces carbon dioxide, which will cause you to burp. So for the test, you drink half a glass, about 4 ounces, of cold water combined with a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda on an empty stomach. So do this first thing in the morning before you eat. Then you're going to time how long it takes you to burp. If it takes longer than 3 to 5 minutes, the theory goes that you do not have enough stomach acid. I can't burp. I think I've mentioned this before. So I have never been able to do this test. But if you can burp, give it a try and see what your results are. I do want to mention that acid reflux has like stereotypical acid reflux symptoms, which are burning in the chest, aka heartburn, regurgitation of food or a sour liquid, difficulty swallowing, chronic cough, or even a sore throat from the acid coming back up. But that is not all. So there are other less obvious symptoms that could also be caused by acid reflux, which are bloating, excessive burping, nausea, and even dental erosion from the acid exposure. So all of these symptoms could be connected to acid reflux. So I think by now we've got an understanding of what acid reflux is, what symptoms to look out for, the actual cause of acid reflux, which is low stomach acid, not too much, why PPIs are damaging if they are taken long term. So now we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about what causes low stomach acid and what you can do to naturally increase your levels of stomach acid. So of course, there is a dietary component. If you are eating a lot of ultra-processed fatty foods, if you drink an excessive amount of alcohol, caffeine, carbonated beverages, or you overeat, particularly late at night, so within a couple of hours of going to bed, you're having like a massive dinner, these are all things that can cause low stomach acid. Basically, our bodies need specific nutrients to produce stomach acid. So zinc, for example, is a crucial one. Hey everyone, Carly here. If you are tired of feeling bloated and uncomfortable, which I know you are, I have something that can really help. My free ultimate guide to bloat busting. I've been there myself, and I know how frustrating it is to try super restrictive diets and expensive supplements without getting results. If those methods were going to work, they would have worked by now. That's why I created this guide to offer you a different approach. In the Ultimate Guide to Bloat Busting, you'll learn techniques to listen to your body and eat with intention, avoiding overeating and choosing foods that truly benefit you, tips for proper hydration to support digestion and reduce bloating, a guide to delicious foods that promote a healthy gut and how to easily incorporate them into your meals, and effective methods to manage stress, which plays a huge role in gut health. These simple, practical strategies can make a big difference in your daily life, helping you feel lighter, more energized,
and comfortable in your own skin. Ready to ditch the bloat without strict diets or costly supplements? Download your free copy today at beyondbloated.com/ultimate-guide and start your journey to a bloat-free life. Now, let's get back to it.
And if we are not eating a nutritious diet, so if our diet mainly consists of the standard American diet, fast food, sugary drinks, alcohol, Starbucks, quick microwave meals, all the things that don't really have any nutrients in them, then our body is not getting what it needs to produce stomach acid. So then our stomach acid declines. And now, even if you were to switch and start to eat those foods, your body doesn't have the stomach acid to break them down at this point. So now you're lacking the nutrients to create stomach acid, which is preventing your body from absorbing the nutrients. It's like a whole vicious cycle. I will shortly talk about how to remedy this, but I'm going to continue through the causes of acid reflux first. The other aspect is lifestyle factors. So for one, I have talked plenty about how stress impacts digestion. If you are eating in a chronically stressed state, if you're not taking the time to do your breath work before eating, or you're eating while you're working or on the phone or whatever, you are stressed. Your body is in fight or flight. Digestion is not a priority. So your body is not producing stomach acid. If you were in the middle of a fight with a bear and you got hungry and you pulled out a snack, your body is not like, oh, time to produce stomach acid. It's like, we need to get the F away from this bear. And it's focusing all its resources on your extremities. So your legs, your arms, like you need to run and fight. You don't need to digest your snack at that time. That is how your body thinks. It's a survival mechanism. It's great. But the problem is that we are always in a chronic state of stress. And it's not because there are a lot of bears around. It's because we get stressed about everything because society is stressful and we're not equipped to manage this well. We don't take the time to meditate, to do breath work, to go on walks, to laugh, to have fun. We're very go, go, go. And so our bodies are in a constant state of fight or flight. Along with this is the how are you eating aspect. So not just what you're eating, but as I mentioned, are you focusing on your food or are you focusing on the TV? And how fast are you eating? Because digestion actually starts in the brain. So if we're not paying attention to our meal and we're in a meeting, eating at the speed of light, we're sending massive chunks of food down to our stomach, this is going to cause low stomach acid / acid reflux because your body hasn't had a chance to produce the stomach acid. Your brain and your gut communicate, and your brain has not sent the signal to your gut to be like, okay, we're eating now, prepare for digestion, because you are doing something else. You're not focusing on your food, you're focusing on your meeting. So your body's like, we're doing a meeting, we're not eating. It's not producing stomach acid. You're not chewing your food, so you're getting massive chunks of food sent to the stomach. These are way too big for your stomach to break down. And you also haven't produced the stomach acid required to break them down. So now the food is sitting there for longer, it's fermenting, it's causing gas, bloating, and acid reflux. Other lifestyle factors that have been known to trigger acid reflux are smoking and lying down too soon after meals. So that goes with the piece that I said in the dietary portion, where if you're overeating, especially late at night, so if you're eating your meal, your dinner, 2 hours, an hour before bed, and then you're lying down, that gives the stomach acid the perfect opportunity to creep back up that esophagus. Ideally, we want to be finished eating 3 or more hours before bed. That gives our body enough time to break down the food, digest, get it out of the stomach, and that way you don't have to worry about the stomach acid creeping on back up the esophagus when you lie down to sleep at night. All right, now to the good part. How do we correct this issue? Let's talk about some natural remedies for increasing stomach acid production and therefore relieving acid reflux. So some natural ways to improve your stomach acid production are to A, Take a small amount of apple cider vinegar or lemon water before meals. So what I like to do is drink a glass of lemon water first thing in the morning. So 8 ounces of warm water. I squeeze half a lemon juice in there, and I add a pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt. I also add a scoop of L-glutamine, but that is for leaky gut. If you want to do that, go ahead. And I drink that first thing in the morning. Another thing that you can do is put about a teaspoon of raw, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar in a shot glass and then fill the rest of it with water. Drink that right before meals. Both of these things help stimulate digestion, get your gastric juices going. Another thing you could try are taking digestive bitters before you eat. So you can get this in a supplement. It's like a liquid tincture. Doesn't taste good, I'm not going to lie, but it's just like a little test tube. So you just kind of squeeze one of those into your mouth before eating. And those digestive bitters are bitter. And that also triggers your body to start producing stomach acid and get ready for digesting food. And of course, I love me a good herbal tea. Things like ginger, chamomile, or fennel are all really good for the gut in general. So you could sip on those throughout the day. You could have it before bed. Chamomile is really good for pre-bed sleepy tea. I like ginger for gut issues in general. If you're feeling bloated, if you're feeling nauseous, ginger is great for that as well. So if you want to get a blend, you can do them all. You can mix and match, or you could just do one at a time. I would also recommend eating smaller meals opposed to 3 massive ones. So spread your meals throughout the day and avoid overeating at any one time. Kind of goes without saying. You never want to overeat because then you usually feel super full, super bloated, and uncomfortable, especially if you are dealing with low stomach acid. You might get acid reflux from overeating. So try to avoid overeating. And I still recommend that you don't eat within 3 hours of each other. So eat your breakfast, 3 hours later, have lunch, 3 hours later, have a snack, 3 hours later, have dinner. Don't eat for the rest of the night. That's how I eat. That should give your body enough time to digest in between meals. And it also should allow you to not have to eat like a massive breakfast so that you can make it all the way till dinner without starving to death. So 3 balanced meals that are not super heavy, and then throw in a little additional snack if you need it. Space it 3 hours, but don't overeat. Try your best. If you know there are certain foods that trigger your acid reflux, I highly recommend you avoid those, especially as you're going through this repair phase. So commonly, ultra-processed foods, very fatty foods, spicy foods, caffeine, and alcohol are very common triggers for acid reflux. Be mindful of when you eat those things, how your body reacts. If you eat spicy foods and then you have acid reflux for the rest of the night, tone it down, Just take away your spicy food, do the rest of these things to try to improve the situation. Later down the line, you could probably add back some spicy food. But right now, you need to increase your stomach acid. And if you're triggering this acid reflux, that's going to cause a lot of discomfort for you. It's going to be hard to improve the situation when you are suffering. Of course, we need to throw in a stress management portion because I talked extensively about how stress impairs digestion. It reduces stomach acid. So we need to practice mindful eating, which means chew slowly, chew to applesauce consistency before you're swallowing. Do your deep breathing before you eat. That's going to help stimulate digestive enzymes, produce your stomach acid, and get you in a state of rest and digest. Get out of fight or flight. You can't digest anything in fight or flight. And then throughout the day, manage your stress through any way you see fit. You could do yoga if you like that. You could do 5 minutes of meditation if you like that. You can go for a walk in nature, watch a funny movie, hang out with your friends. Whatever de-stresses you, implement that into your day. I just recorded an entire episode on stress management for the holidays a couple weeks back, so I will link that here, and that will give you a whole bunch of ideas on how you can manage your stress if the ones that I just listed you're not interested in, or you need some more information on how to do it. That episode is a lot more detailed. It's very focused on stress, so go check that out because It is a massive part of improving gut health. Massive. Another little tidbit that can help: avoid wearing tight clothes that put pressure on your abdomen. First of all, that's just kind of uncomfortable, especially if you're dealing with bloat. Like, you don't want to be squeezing your insides. Just wear comfy clothing that isn't too tight. That's just a little thing that can help. Hopefully when you're going through this whole process, your acid reflux goes away, your bloating reduces, and then you're able to wear some tighter clothes. But if it's uncomfortable, just don't do it. Comfy clothes are where it's at. Finally, there are a few supplements that you could try to help with acid reflux. I recommend you work with a professional, check with your doctor before you add any supplements into your diet. Although they are natural, there can still be some severe side effects if not taken correctly, or if they're interacting with your medication or whatnot. So just always be careful. Don't just supplement willy-nilly. So one supplement is zinc. As I said earlier, our bodies need zinc to produce stomach acid. And if we have too little stomach acid, we probably aren't able to absorb zinc regardless. So there's that vicious cycle kicking in. So supplementing with zinc can help your body start to produce its own stomach acid again. There is a test that you can do at home to check your zinc levels. So if you buy a liquid zinc, and make sure it's not flavored, because zinc actually tastes terrible. So the liquid zinc supplements are flavored usually to mask the terrible taste, but that is how you test. So if you pour a teaspoon of that liquid zinc, unflavored, and you hold it into your mouth and you start a timer, you should immediately taste that it's terrible. But if you go over like 15 seconds and it just tastes like water, or it's a very mild taste, that is an indication that you have low levels of zinc. I actually bought a bottle of zinc to do this with, and I brought it over to my parents' place. My brother and his fiance live there. So it was like this party trick that we were doing. We were all passing around this bottle of liquid zinc and throwing it in our mouths to test how long does it take us to taste the zinc. Some people tasted it immediately. Some people said, this tastes like water. And it is a very bad taste. So it should not taste like water. If it does, you probably need a zinc supplement. A high quality probiotic could be beneficial. If you aren't digesting your food properly, you have low levels of stomach acid, you're nutrient deficient, all of these usually are an indication of an imbalance in your gut. So probiotics are going to help balance your gut bacteria, and that'll help your digestive function and all of the things. But there are a ton of terrible supplements out there. So it really needs to be a high quality supplement or you're wasting your time. The last one I'm going to mention, and probably the most beneficial, HCl supplement. So this is essentially stomach acid in a pill. So if you suspect you have low stomach acid, you've done the baking soda test, you didn't burp until after 5 minutes, you have acid reflux, you have bloating, gas, you do the zinc test and you don't taste it, pretty good chance you have low stomach acid. So you can take these HCl pills during your meals, and that provides you with HCl, hydrochloric acid, which is stomach acid, so that you're able to break that down. The idea is that you don't need this forever. You work your way up. So you start with 1 at a meal. And if you don't notice anything, then you go to 2. And if you don't notice anything, you go to 3. And you do this until you notice like a warming, burning sensation in your stomach. And once you've hit that, you know you've hit your max dose. So you go back -1. So if you feel the burning at 6, then you go back to 5, and then that's your dose. So you take 5 at every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, as long as there's significant protein in the meal, which there always should be. And then once you've done that, you should eventually notice that warm burning sensation again. And that means that your body is starting to make its own stomach acid. Then you can reduce down to 4. And you continue until you notice the warming again, and then down to 3. And eventually your body should be able to start to produce its own stomach acid and not rely on these pills anymore. If you search for HCl, stomach acid, supplementation, whatever, I'm sure it'll come up, like how to do it. But again, don't do this on your own. Make sure you are working with a professional who can help you do the HCl supplementation, help you find a high quality probiotic, help you find a good zinc supplement, and help you, most importantly, implement the dietary and lifestyle changes required to actually produce your own stomach acid. Because if you just take these supplements, but you don't change the way you're eating, the food you are eating, and how you're eating it, how you're managing your stress, all of the things that I talked about, your body will not be able to produce its own stomach acid. And then you're just relying on supplements as you're relying on medication. Yes, the side effects aren't the same, which is great, but do you really want to take like 6 pills at every meal for the rest of your life? Or do you want to get it under control so that your body can produce stomach acid as it should? I just so happen to be that professional that can help you with this. So if you are looking for help and you want to work with someone one-on-one who can walk you through the steps, help you get rid of your acid reflux naturally, then let me know. You can apply for my one-on-one coaching program. The link is in the show notes there. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I announced this is now my full-time career. I was doing this part-time. I was working a full-time job elsewhere. That full-time job is no more. This is my full-time job. I am now health coaching, helping women like you full-time. So that did increase my client capacity. So I am accepting more clients now, and I have room for you. Apply down below and I'll get your application, check it over, and then I will reach out to you to schedule our free 30-minute call where we can just chat and discuss if working together is a good fit. And then we go from there. I hope these tips were helpful for you and that you now understand the real root cause of your acid reflux and now have the tools and the knowledge to get it under control so you don't have to suffer for much longer. If you have any questions about anything I talked about today, hit me up on Instagram at beyond.bloated or send me an email, carlyclose@beyondbloated.com. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to the Beyond Bloated podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your fellow gut goddesses. If you'd like to chat about today's episode, send me a DM on Instagram at beyond.bloated. Until next time, bye!